Hey, I want to answer a couple things without getting too in depth. Just try to kind of make sense of this. So the question is, when you're getting started and you're getting a listing, what do you do to sign them up? Some people are not going to really require much paperwork, but some people are going to actually want a professional listing agreement, especially property management companies. Some will really try to do things by the book because they're afraid of being sued for something. So you have a listing agreement, which you need to have signed by your broker. So this is for New York agents. If you're not a New York agent, it's basically the same thing, just your state. But for us in New York, it says New York Forms in your Google Drive. Go under New York Forms, and then it's in like a ton. There's a ton of stuff. For most of us, we're going to be using Rebny. For you, John, I'm not sure actually. I think you're going to be using Rebny, but just double check. Just double check that and just text me. I'll explain to you how to double check that. But yeah, for most of the people that I'm going to be training, it's going to be Rebny. So go into the Rebny folder, and then in the Rebny folder, you'll find listing agreement, and there's all kinds of listing agreements. There's rental listing agreements. There's for sales, it's broken into co-op, condo, house. There's probably a couple other things. So just get the right one, and then if you need signatures, you're going to have to send them to Matt. But if you want to kind of expedite that, send it to me. I can probably get it done a little bit quicker. So, or just send it to both of us. Send it to him and send it to me, and whoever does it quicker, the better. He can take forever sometimes. So, he's dealing with a lot of people. So yeah, so send that to me. And then what you want to do is you want to set up the listing agreement. You need to ask the property manager a couple questions. So basically you're asking them, the goal is to get the listing and to be able to advertise it, because when you advertise it, people are going to come to you and you're going to have the place they want to move into. So you don't really have to match them. They've already matched themselves. So having the listing is much better than taking the renter to try to find something. That's hard, especially when not everybody's cooperative with City FEPS or with Section 8. So you want that listing. Now, from a marketing standpoint, what I think you should offer is that you'll collect the broker's fee through the voucher. I mean, you probably get 15%, so it makes sense. Even if you don't get 15%, it still makes sense because you just want to start building the business and building the relationship with the property manager or with the landlord. However, it's going to say in the paperwork what the listing fee is. So you could put something like 8.3%, which is 1 month's rent. When I'm signing that stuff with people, I usually tell them that, but then I'm also, obviously most of the people I'm working with, I've worked with before. Not always. I have new customers, but a lot of people I've worked with before. But some of that is like discretionary in this case, because if I know them, say it's somebody where I've rented 20 of his units. At this point, it's kind of like, listen, I'm going to try to collect the rent myself, but if the market is showing me all no fee, are you cool to pay a month? Yeah. So in other words, he understands I'm not trying to rip him off or anything. I'm just trying to get the thing rented, and I'm just letting the market dictate. So if you want to ask me how I come up with that, that's based on comps. I can show you how I do those comps. That would be a separate video because that's its own thing. And that's actually, it's funny, that's not that easy to do. It seems kind of easy, but there's a little bit of a knack to that. Somebody was actually asking me this morning for his wholesaling business, how I come up with ARV and stuff. So, there's a lot of the way you get comparable market analysis. There's definitely a little bit of a knack to it. It's a little voodoo, a little magic. So that's kind of interesting about it, but that's a separate video. So just basically get that listing agreement. If you want to leave a couple things blank, or if you want to just ask me, send it to me and say, what do I do with this? Put a note on it. But then we'll fill it out. We'll get the broker's signature, and then you take it to the property manager and you ask them to fill it out. And like I said, just from a marketing standpoint, since you're a new agent, I really think obviously you want to make money, and you will, but you kind of want to just provide a good service and build a relationship. That's really your top goal. The listing is amazing for a few things. It's what I already said, that it's going to bring customers who already like that apartment to you, so you can actually close the deal. But the second point is actually the much more important point, big picture. It has nothing to do with what money you'll make today. It has to do with what money you're planning to make as a career, as opposed to as one deal. which is it's leverage. Once you have this listing, it's going to be the first listing. Once you have this listing, you have the ability to say to everybody, listen, I have this listing with this company, and you automatically have built your clout. So the next time you're getting somebody to say yes to doing this, it's going to be much, much, much easier. You've done the hardest part. So, you know, kind of, you know, you don't want to stop in your tracks and pat yourself on the back, but do appreciate that. That's the hard part, you know, making calls and going nowhere and then finally getting somebody to give you the time of day. That's the whole trick to this business. So that's why I want to have you keep building. So I would keep making those calls. I'd say talk to 2 to 3 people a day. You know, talk to. In other words, it's not just leaving a message. It's like they've called you back, or you've called 3 times and finally spoken to somebody, or they've given you the email and you've emailed them. However you've contacted them, you've actually had a back and forth with 3 people a day. And I know it's hard to do. So, you know, that's really the trick. But it's discouraging when people are, you know, telling you to go to jail half the time. But then once you get a listing, you're like, wow, it's worth it. You know, because how many listings do you really need to have a great business? You know, for rentals, I'd say you need to do 3 to 5 a month. For sales, you know, at the price point in New York, probably 1 a month is enough. So anyway, that's the very long-winded explanation of this. So if you have follow-up questions, just text me. All right, cool.